everybody, and welcome back to my channel for this Tuesday morning, afternoon or evening across the world where you may be at. I hope you're all doing well, and I really appreciate you joining me. Today I'm going to be talking about a lady called Leah Tyrer from the Married at First Sight program here in the UK. She recently was on a podcast with Cosmopolitan magazine talking about her autism and ADHD neurodivergence diagnosis, and as an autistic woman I like to cover these stories and give you my thoughts and my reactions, and I'm going to basically shortlist, sort of script the transcript of the interview that she did. I will link the original interview down in the video description so you guys can watch it and make your own thoughts, opinions, and let me know what you agree or disagree with down in the comment section. So let's get into it. So at first she's introducing herself, and then they sort of get into the Married at First Sight, like how did she cope on there, and she says that she basically masked a lot of her neurodivergence because at the time she didn't realise she was neurodiverse or that she was autistic or ADHD. You know, people had said it to her privately that they suspected that she was neurodivergent or autistic or ADHD, and then she started talking about the staff, the welfare staff who cared for her while she was on the programme. They really looked after her, and they had psych staff there to look after her every day. They checked in just to make sure she was okay. That every morning, every evening, they get over phone calls or visits to check on them for their mental welfare. She said she really, really appreciated that. And then she also goes back into talking about the masking, that when the lady who she was matched with on the show called Lee, she would mask when Lee shouted at her or would confront her, and that she wasn't aware of her autism until her family and some friends privately would come to her and say, oh, we think you're on the spectrum somewhere. And then she said she slowly started to agree with it, and that in the past nobody was discussing autism or ADHD, which I totally agree with. In the past it was still a very much a taboo subject. It still very much is a stigmatised, labelled diagnosis as someone who's been late diagnosed herself. You know, it is something that is still very much, should we talk about it, should we not? And I'm very glad that Leah has had the confidence to talk about it on camera to Cosmopolitan, because she's opening up the discussion. She's opening up potentially for other young women, young children, young people who are searching for their own journey, their own answers. And I think having someone like her to look up to, who's been in the public eye on the public profile program, who has been watched by millions upon millions upon millions of people, she's set the precedent for they can do anything that they want to. And she then says that Lee, during the program, told her that she was autistic while she was packing her suitcase. And then Leah talks about having awkwardness in social situations. Again, this is one of the traits of autism, having awkwardness, not knowing what to say, how to say things within a dinner party social situation. And she said since leaving Married at First Sight, she's been diagnosed with both autism and ADHD neurodivergence, and she got straight assessed. And you know, she hadn't self-educated beforehand on both the diagnosis or what it was going to mean for her going forward or before being diagnosed. And she again goes into talking about her own lack of education and lack about masking. Again, this is the thing that's brought up about autism and ADHD. A lot of us who are ADHD or autistic or autism and ADHDers, we do tend to mask a lot of our struggles. We do tend to mask a lot of our traits, our behaviours, because society sees us as odd or weird or broken or damaged, and that's why we don't usually present our real selves, because we're not allowed to. We have to be seen as being the functioning normal label that she mentions. And again, she talks about withholding emotions. Emotions is difficult for people on the ADHD and autism spectrum because we don't know how to self-regulate them. We don't know when to let them out, when to let them out, how to let them out in the right time, the safe space with the right people. You know, emotions is something that is very complicated to process at best of times for me, so I can understand why she says she struggles to withhold or express her emotions. And then I am really happy that she did talk about it being her superpower. Again, 100% I agree with that, because autism makes us see the world in a different way. It makes us see things that aren't particularly straightforward, or things that people may not see, and we think, oh, well, this situation happens because of this. Oh, we can fix this, we can do this, we can do that. And people go, huh? Like, so again, we're able to see things out of the box rather than what the neurotypical person can. And again, I agree that when she says that we put 110% into everything that we're dedicated to, I couldn't agree more. Like, when we are focused on something, we are focused on something. Like, we are literally focused upon focus. Like, for me, it's my Elvis stuff, it's my photography stuff, it's my autism campaign. When I put my brain into it and my 110% of everything that I've got into it, I become super focused, super obsessed, to the point where I want to know everything about it. So like my Elvis stuff, I research jewelry and clothing and shoes and jackets, and the right color schemes, the wrong color schemes, and my photography, I make sure that I take the best angles, the best shots. I make sure that I have my phone fully charged. I make sure that I'm able to be in a venue that's going to give me great lighting. So again, it's putting that 110% knowledge and research into what you do. And then she goes into talking about relationships. Relationships are a difficult thing for people on the autism and ADHD spectrum, because again, it's something that we have to think about, we have to progress, we have to research, we have to try and act appropriate 100% of the time. And being a neurodivergent person, I can't imagine the struggles that Leah had being on that high profile program, because you're constantly watched. Every word you said that is scripted, everything that you say is watched and judged and criticised. And I couldn't imagine how hard that must have been, knowing that she couldn't be her full 110% self, because everything you do, the way you act, the way you sit, the way you slouch, the way you eat, is judged, criticised, labelled for the relationship, for the drama. And I couldn't imagine how difficult she must have felt with the pressure of all these people watching her across the UK. And then she talks about people like us we're very thoughtful and we struggle with boundaries. Again, boundaries is something that I've struggled with on and off for most of my life. Boundaries can be physical, it can be friendships, it can be mental boundaries, it can be boundaries with sexual relationships, it can be boundaries within family relationships, professional relationships. So sometimes, like for me, when I make friends with professionals, I can get quite attached to the people that look after me, and I get quite close to them, and I become more friendly than professional towards them. And I have to know that boundary of, Gemma, yes, they're your friends, but yes, they're your colleagues first. You have to cross that boundary of going, right, where's the friendship line and where's the professional line? So you have to know where the boundary is to go, no, Gemma, keep it, So again, I can struggle with boundaries the same as what Leah can. And sometimes we struggle to be around people who we don't know. We can get overstimulated very easily, so that's anxiety, it can be depression, it can be what am I doing kind of thing. And it can be very, very difficult because we don't know what we're doing, and sometimes we don't know what to say or what to do, and it can be very, very hard for us. And I'm very proud that she has started her own business and that she's put 110% on it. And she's going to speak on it later in the future once she's learnt more about what she's doing and how things run. But I want to talk about how some things of the interviewer that she did wrong. The interviewer, I felt, kept talking down to Leah like she was stupid, and kept talking down to Leah to try and get her to react negatively about the Lee situation, which I didn't think was very, very fair on Leah. I thought that it put her in a really awkward spot. Also, she kept over talking Leah, so when Leah was giving her answer, she was like, next, 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 next. And I'm just like, hold on a minute. You're interviewing somebody who is neurodivergent. Like, you can't keep jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping in front of somebody who's trying to give her answers. And I just thought it was just really rude. And when she was talking about her recent diagnosis and like adjusting to it, getting to realise it, and the fact she kept overwhelming her with the questions as well, it's just like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what? Surely you were educated beforehand. Surely you knew you were interviewing someone with a neurodivergent brain. Surely you would have done a bit of background research. She kept trying to sound like she was a medical expert. You're not a medical expert, you're a journalist. Like, why are you trying to sound like you know more about Leah than what Leah does? It's irritating, it's frustrating, and you're a journalist. Journalists know very little about autism, sadly. But, I just want to talk about this. I thought it was a good thing to talk about and discuss. I hope you've liked my thoughts. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!